Hello and welcome back to the podcast and welcome to season 3 of Just a Little Shady. We are so excited to finally be back. It feels like the break was forever, which kind of makes sense considering all the things that happened while we were away. I had a bachelorette party because I also had a wedding, and we also just went to Lala, which we will be talking about on today's episode on the Patreon, so check that out. But also, before we get into all things going on, we are wearing new merch. So there's going to be a collection. There's actually going to be 2 collections dropping on Monday at 12 p.m. ET. And one theme for this collection is Gossip is Good for You. And we just felt like that was such a fun theme for this season, honestly, because truthfully, that's what we do every week here. So if you want to be a part of that, check out that merch. And we also have a football collection dropping because we talked a lot last season about how there's just not that much cute stuff for the girls. So we designed a couple cute little things. So check those out too. And if you're on the Patreon, you are going to get a password and get early access to the website before anyone else and possibly get your hands on the merch before anyone else does. So check out the Patreon if you're interested in that. But circling back, we obviously have a lot to discuss and lots of details with the bachelorette and wedding specifically. But there are too many, I think, to unpack in an episode that's not solely dedicated to that. So at some point, we are going to do that. We just want to plan it out and make sure we don't miss anything that we want to tell you guys about it.
100%. I mean, I will go on record to say that.
On record,
and say that you had the wedding of the century, which you can't rush something like that. You can't squeeze that into a regular episode. It needs to be something of its own. You took a lot of time, energy.
Planning the wedding.
Yeah, planning the whole thing. And the bachelorette party, I mean, we've said it since then. Like, I think we peaked at your bachelorette party.
Truly.
It was some of the most fun I've had in my entire life. So,
oh my God. I think we were both just different humans.
I was not myself.
In that moment.
The person that I was in Tampa, Florida, do people know I was in Tampa?
Well,
it's not a secret now. We were in Tampa, Florida. I don't know who that person was. I don't know what was in the water, what was in the air there, but
or in those cocktails we made.
Yeah, it could have been that. We were not out of control, but we were close to that.
We were very cutesy, but we were close to not being demure.
Yes.
Arguably.
We walked the fine line between Brett Summer and demure. So I think that's the best place to be. I don't know if I'll ever reach that kind of balance in my life again.
We were perfectly balanced.
We were perfect.
It was fun times, lots of stories, lots of things to talk about. And like I said, we are going to do it. So just keep an eye out. That's coming very, very soon. Just want to give it the attention to detail that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we just didn't want to get into it this week because there's just so much going on right now.
And we've already missed so much from, what did we stop doing the podcast in March?
Yes.
So between March and now, a lot has happened. And a lot has happened within just this past week. So how could we not discuss the matters at hand? We have to focus on what is relevant in this moment, and then we will take time to reflect as needed. So without further ado, let's get back to our roots.
And that's obviously going to start with football.
Sports. We are a sports podcast through and through. So
starting off, we have some new information coming out from the NFL. And this will be the first NFL season where players have the option to wear Guardian caps, which are a soft shell helmet cover engineered for impact reduction. They were actually created in 2010, but this is the first time that players are given the option to wear them in season. And we've actually in season now had one player wear it and be the first to wear it, which was
James Daniels.
from the Steelers.
Yes, he wore it during one of their first preseason games. So it'll be interesting to see as we enter into the regular season which players follow suit with his example.
Yeah, and safety is cutesy, mindful, courteous.
It is.
And that's what we're going for in this new season. And also, they're saying that just in practices, when players wear these helmets, they're seeing a 50% reduction in concussions. So just imagine what that's going to look like in actual play if players decide to wear them. I will say, you may at first have a little, shock when you see what these look like. They are a little bit larger, bulkier, I would say, giving bobblehead a little bit, but it's obviously worth it. It doesn't matter.
And if you take a look at the history of, football helmets throughout time, they started out as like brown leather. They looked very different from how we see football helmets today. So hopefully this becomes the new norm, and 10, 15 years out, everyone's wearing a Guardian cap, and this is just what we're used to seeing. Yeah, are used to seeing. And what's cool is on top of, the Guardian cap itself, they do have almost a shell for it. I'm not sure what the exact name is, that has the team's colors, their logo. So it does resemble what we know and love in our football helmets.
Yeah.
Just with a little extra cushion. It's almost giving, if you've been to a bounce house place, when you're jousting and you put the big helmet on your head.
Yeah, a little bit.
It gives that just a tiny bit, maybe like a little scaled back.
Yeah, I definitely see that. So it'll be interesting to see who wears it. I also think it's going to be interesting to see if players are going to have to practice with them on too, if they plan on wearing them, because I can imagine that it adds some weight and like a little bit less flexibility with turning your head and, doing some things that they're used to having the mobility with regular helmets. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But I definitely think this is a step in the right direction from the NFL, and we love to see it.
We do.
And what else do we love to see? Brittany wrote a note in here that she cannot wait to see Taylor at Travis's games.
I'm really excited for that. I think on the note of what's happened during our break, history really has been made with the release of the Tortured Poets Department, that I will go again on record. A lot of like really, really strong statements being made today, but that is my favorite Taylor Swift album, and my Spotify Wrap will prove it. It will be number one.
We will be unpacking that when it comes out, and it better be true.
It's going to be, and I would also go on record saying that I think my top 5 songs for the year will all be from
the album.
The album, absolutely. Smallest Man That's Ever Lived. That's going to be number 1, right at the top.
I will say that's a good one. I know.
No, Haley said something really sweet to me on 4th of July. Let's recall this. This is a little bit of a side tangent. Like a week or two before that, we put this song in a car with a bunch of our friends, and Haley had it'd been like our first time hearing it. And truth be told, in that car, all of us were singing our lungs out. Haley was doing her best. Fast forward to 4th of July, and we decided that needed to be played to celebrate America's birthday. And when it came on, Haley said, "Wait, I learned the words to this for Brittany." And I don't think my heart has ever been so happy.
Right. That was a private conversation. No, truly. I mean, I do like it too. You get more excited about things than me, but like I feel that.
I do. Good way of putting it.
You do. But it will be interesting to see if Taylor still brings along her good friend, Blake Lively.
I fear she will not be able to bring her. I feel that, Taylor's very loyal, but I don't know if she'll take this bad press as good press.
Yeah, I don't know. So obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen by now all of the drama with the movie It Ends With Us. because right now it just came out. There's a bunch of PR, happening around it as normal when movies
Right.
come out. And there has just been so much drama with how the PR is being handled around it, specifically by Blake Lively. In contrast, you have Justin Baldoni, who was the person who purchased the rights to direct and be in this movie. And he has been working so hard to make the messaging and PR of this movie really what the whole message is about, because the movie is based around DV. And so his message is, supposed to bring hope to people. And he's making sure people are aware that this is really what the movie is about. And he teamed up with a nonprofit to really like spread awareness about this. And then on the other hand, you have Blake Lively's PR, which is looking a little bit more like grab your girlfriends and wear your florals and come see the movie, or like, here's my new hair care line.
Yeah.
And people are just not happy with the way that she's handled the PR versus him. And we were kind of talking about how like Ryan Reynolds, obviously Blake Lively's husband, is doing PR for Deadpool Wolverine right now.
Yeah.
And she's doing PR for this big box office movie. And so maybe they thought that this was going to be their Barbenheimer moment. And
I think they may have wanted that for themselves secretly. I don't think they'll ever admit that. But I don't think this was the time for a Barbenheimer. Maybe, no. I mean, like, you can still promote this movie and make it this big deal that there's two really great movies. But I think it's the rom-com spin on it and the emphasis on the fact that it's not recognizing what the movie's truly about is what's upsetting people. I think that if Blake's press tour, she would have been more conscious and more, more like Justin's approach, to where she's sharing like, here is what this movie is truly about. Here's what I hope people gain from this experience, this movie going experience. Like, It could still be this blockbuster movie without painting it in a light that it really isn't.
And I will say I saw the movie and I was kind of shocked. There wasn't a trigger warning in the beginning of the movie, which I was more aware going into of what it was about, because I have seen Justin Baldoni's interviews and press talking about like how serious this is, how it can be triggering for people. And, going into it, I was aware, but I definitely expected there to be some kind of warning in the beginning. And I think the problem is that when you have a huge celebrity and main character going around really not saying that, and that is probably more so what people are going to see in the media than rather than Justin Baldoni's, which he's obviously still a huge, celebrity and whatever, but the Blake Lively has been a huge person in Hollywood for so long, so people are going to see her PR more.
And she has an expanded reach.
Yeah, and for her to not be doing that, I think is just really upsetting people who are seeing it and not realizing that this is actually what it's about.
Yeah.
It's not a rom-com. It's a serious topic. So people are not too happy. And it's actually now to the point Justin Baldoni apparently hired a PR crisis management team literally like just now. And I'm not sure. I kind of feel like maybe he's doing it to be nice and like help Blake out.
You think so?
Because I don't think he needs it. I mean,
he really
his
doesn't.
PR right now is great, but maybe he wants the movie as a whole to be getting good PR.
That just shows his true colors, if that's the case, that he is just a good person through and through.
I will say, though, I was kind of shocked at the overall switch up on Blake Lively.
It was crazy. It was giving the J-Lo switch up that we experienced not all that long ago.
Yes.
When people were going after her, like, out of nowhere. And people love J-Lo. Like, when she did the Super Bowl a couple years back, everyone was so excited, thought she did great. Now she had to cancel her tour because nobody was attending it. And we're seeing such similar backlash with Blake.
It's wild to me because I feel like everybody can agree she's not handling this right. But then
100%.
like all of a sudden, everybody's pulling up things from so long ago being like, I always knew she was this.
Right.
I always knew she was a mean girl. It's like, well, you didn't bring it up at the time and now you're just piling on.
People are pulling clips of Gossip Girl and saying, I bet Layden Meester knows all the stories about her being a mean girl. And I've never seen that kind of press, that kind of...
No, it's never been like what it is right now. It's just like a complete 180. And everything that she's ever said that's like
it's all
sassy
being clipped, cut, and used against her, and it's intense.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she's getting the message. She did end up posting on her Instagram story like a big explanation that the movie is about DV and resources. So, I mean, if she learns from this, great. It seems like whatever PR she's using currently, you know, is telling her to kind of switch up the messaging, which hopefully that is the route she goes. I don't know what the outcome's going to be just because everybody has done a complete 180, but I guess we'll see if her and Ryan remain the it couple, and also if Taylor chooses to keep her around or distance a little bit, you know, until everything clears over.
Time will tell, and we will be reporting on it. We have to.
We will. Well, time quickly told what the outcome was going to be with Olympic breakdancing, because they have already made some swift decisions to take breakdancing off of the 2028 games. So this was actually hilarious, this whole thing, how I even became to know about this. So, you know, I'm minding my business, scrolling on TikTok, and I see a video of Raygun, an Olympic breakdancer, doing some moves. And when I tell you the gasp, I gasped. Because you guys, I have seen with my own two eyes our good friend and co-host here do those exact moves drunk at a bar. And I mean, potentially better than what we witnessed at the Olympics. And, you know, I obviously immediately sent them to Brittany, but I also I thanked her for being here, because truly I'm in the presence of what could have been an Olympian. Right. And she chose us instead.
I did choose to be here despite, you know, there could be a new path for me. I could pursue a life, a career, an Olympic journey of being a professional breakdancer. And I feel that in my heart and soul. Like, I think I've always known deep within that is a passion of mine, something that I have, you know, just pure talent. And
I think that if we gave you 2 to 3 marks,
say less,
we called up Raygun, and we put you two head to head in a battle, I think you would definitely win.
I would dominate. And I want to see it happen. If Raygun is listening, please take this as my most sincere offer to battle.
You know how many people are probably feeling this way right now, though?
Everyone's probably offering a battle.
It's actually just, I honestly think that the reason they took this out of the Olympics for 2028 is because it made too many people feel that the Olympics was attainable. And like, I'm starting to believe that that's why they had to be like, no more.
However, maybe that's something we all needed within, because I mean, that gives you something. The Olympics are something that's supposed to inspire, to unite. And what's more inspiring than attainability? I don't know. I truly don't know. But I mean, I can see why maybe that would be offensive to Olympians such as Simone Biles, the GOAT, a queen, somebody that has worked their entire life to be where they are today. However, what I see with Raygun is dedication.
I don't
cunningness.
know about that. I'm not sure about that.
Setting a goal and doing what she had to do to reach said goal. And that is really the spirit of the Olympics.
Well, no, because potentially people are now calling for a change.org petition because they're accusing her of cheating her way there
Icon.
by building this Olympic Australian committee for breakdancing, putting her husband on it, and then getting herself passed through when she really was not better than the other people who should have been in the competition. And she basically set up this whole thing to get herself there. However, I do just like deep down, like in my soul, I want to believe that this was all just like some big like joke. Like she just wanted to be like, haha.
She wanted
like,
to do a little haha.
Yeah, she wanted to do a haha and be like, I actually did this. And it's like all just one big joke. And she actually pulled it off.
But here's the thing. So much of what you just mentioned is one, iconic behavior. But two, I feel like so much of what we value and
Pettiness.
love. Yes. Exactly. Sheer pettiness.
I see that.
Sheer spite. The potential to, all of this could have been, for a haha against an ex-boyfriend.
Or just against everybody.
And if this was written into us as a Shady Story, I would be hyping her up. You would be hyping it up.
Yes, but on the level of Olympics, it just takes it so far.
And I love that about it.
But I
argue not far enough. Where do we go from here?
It's so far.
But where do we go from here?
Nowhere, because it's taken out. But I will say she is the most famous breakdancer in the world right now. And you can't argue that fact. It is what it is. Because does that mean she's the best? No. Does that mean anything? No, besides she's the most famous because everybody knows who she is now.
And she will be remembered forever for that. And at the end of the day, does it matter that you are a good breakdancer or that you are beloved by a nation, the world?
Yeah, as much as
you. Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
this change.org petition.
Those really are just haters. They are haters. I don't respect them. They're a part of the problem. Okay. And I think it's a problem that this isn't going to be saw through to
2028.
The 2028 Olympics.
Well, instead of breakdancing, we are getting flag football.
Flag football.
It is flag football.
Flag football.
She's putting it in air quotes for those listening. And squash. And
what the fuck is squash? Squash?
I'm going to be honest. I had to look into this and I still don't totally know. It's a crazy name for a sport, by the way. But it's, from what I gathered, it's a racquetball type sport. So they hit the ball against the wall and like compete in that way.
So why not pickleball? People are competing against the wall?
No, in a way.
Yes, the wall. They are hitting a ball against the wall.
Here's what I'll say. Then why don't you start a U.S. squash committee?
And I might.
Put me on the judge board. I'll put you through. Whatever it is. I will put you through. And then let's see.
I mean, I got a pickleball
You could
racket.
break dance and hit the ball and then do a move and then hit the ball
I would
again.
Capture everyone's hearts. The hearts of millions.
Hearts of the globe.
But I would like to circle back to what we skipped over. Flag football. Flag football, my apologies. If we are putting that in the Olympics, why aren't we just bringing back tug of war at this point? Because what are we going to do? Put Joe Burrow out there with flags?
I have a couple problems.
Okay.
One, why Joe Burrow?
Why not Joe Burrow?
Why not someone from the Lions?
Well, Joe Burrow will be our quarterback. I think I love Goff. But Joe Burrow deserves a gold medal.
Showing her true colors.
The girlies want to see Joe go for gold. But the girlies also, and by girlies I mean myself, want to see St. Brown go for gold.
Okay.
St. Brown should be there.
That was more so what I expected
That's what you expected me to say. That is the answer. Yes.
My other problem is the flag football thing. What I don't get about it is like there are so many other contact sports in the Olympics.
So why are we bringing it down a notch?
So why not do that for football
too? Full contact
like
would be
rugby, soccer, basketball.
Right.
Like there's so many things that are contact
You wouldn't
sports.
put LeBron James out there for like half court free throws.
Correct.
So why are we, doing rec football, flag football for our NFL players? I don't know. But yes, my hope is to see Joe Burrow, St. Brown team up with Dan Campbell leading the charge. Because who else would lead our team.
In
Team
theory,
USA's flag football team.
Yeah. In theory, he does lead America's team, the Lions. And so why not put him in that position?
Yes.
I feel that.
That is what he deserves. I think that is something that America can get behind, can rally behind. We know him. We love him. My T-shirt with his face on it is still missing, which is a huge problem with the season upon us.
But we have a lot of cute football merch that can replace it. Potentially.
That is a hard thing for me to be agreeing with because I love him.
No. The things you've said about this man on this podcast
crazy.
Is wild.
I mean, like, I'm just waiting for him to, like, comment, follow us.
I don't know if he's on social media like that, but
well, his people maybe could get him on social media that. Well, let him know.
I don't either. There's been more issues than just breakdancing being replaced with flag football.
I don't really know what could get worse, but let's hear it.
Well, these were actually with this current year, not the forthcoming year.
Okay,
so,
tell me.
Well, it all started when Paris decided that they wanted the swimmers to use the Seine, which is their big river that flows through the city, for some of the events. And, you know, everybody that lives in Paris was reportedly not happy with the Olympics being there at all.
Why?
And
they didn't want more tourists?
No. Well, I think that is probably part of it. But no, I think it was more so that taxpayer dollars go towards setting up for that event instead of like things they would rather it go towards.
Fair.
And so they weren't too happy about that. But then they also were like, you are not swimming in the river. That's disgusting. So as part of to show the Olympics committee that the river was safe to swim in, the mayor of Paris was supposed to swim in it. Well, the original date that they were going to swim in it, everybody in Paris was going to go poop in the river that day. And
that's what they decided to do as a community. That's what they came together, probably put a Facebook community page out there and spread the good word.
Yeah.
Let's shit in the river.
I believe it might have been like a Reddit forum or something.
You're joking.
But it was real. It was supposed to happen. I don't know if they were really going to follow through with it or if it was all to like scare everyone out of
it's like charging Area 51. I think people would have actually did it.
Probably. That's arguably more dangerous than going and pooping in the river.
I mean, but what's more dangerous to your soul? Pooping.
No, I still would argue the other. But so they ended up postponing the mayor swimming in the river. Eventually, she got in the river. Who's to say what happened after?
Who's to say what was in there?
Well, she probably had to go into hiding for a few days after.
She probably had pink eye all over her.
Oh, well, it's possible. And actually what ended up coming of it all, which they did do some events in the river, and 3 German swimmers ended up getting sick after their events. They ended up being fine, but they were sick for a few days after their events took place. There was also just a lot of problems coming around the media with the Olympic Village. Like, people were saying there was no air conditioning.
Well, that was their plan, to be a eco-friendly Olympics, which makes no sense to me. We're giving these incredible athletes cardboard beds and no air conditioning. What kind of treatment is that? You worked your whole life. Congrats, you're going to the Olympics.
Well,
here's
I don't
your
think
cardboard.
that's always,
here's your no air.
I don't think that's always the case with the Olympics. It just depends on the host city. So that's why people were also giving Paris like.
If Detroit was hosting, Detroit wouldn't do them like that.
Well, then they need to come here. They were also complaining about the food being served there, saying like some of it was kind of like raw or like undercooked meat.
Terrible.
Just not enough. So
I wonder if it was, if it was cheating. For lack of better words, cheating. They were
trying to get an advantage and like mentally mess with these people. So that, like, you know what? That's something that needs to be looked into.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of all the highlights, or I guess lowlights of the Olympics. Yeah, I mean, I think arguably the worst thing to come out of it was the the loss of breakdancing.
That's a
for
true
the
loss.
future.
I will mourn that for a
Maybe
while.
it will come back, but unfortunately for now, it will not be considered a main sport for the Olympics, as you have to be back 3 consecutive years in a row to be considered a main sport that sticks around. So that will not be one of them, but I guess we shall see what happens in the future. Also in the future, we're getting a Disney villain theme park coming to Disney's Magic Kingdom. And surprisingly, listeners, I put this on our talking points because I was just thrilled when I saw this. I was like, that would be so fun. But I think also in the same little TikTok scroll that I had going on, I also got a TikTok saying that they're doing a Monsters Inc. park and having a Monsters Inc. ride, which I was so excited about because I feel like that's one of my top movies, like cartoon movies that I'll put on, feel good movies. Like that and Shrek are like very high up there for me.
I mean, both great movies. Shrek, not Disney, but
I know, but like those are my cartoon
fair
movies.
And I will
like.
accept that. And when I tell y'all, I thought I was being pranked when Haley said we should talk about
of the season.
First episodes of the season, and we're talking about not only Disney but the Disney parks. That's a dream of mine. I'm trying to stay cool, calm, collected, very demure. But I'm really hyped. So D23, for those that might not know, is Disney's biggest fan event of the year. That's when they do 2 days of announcement, from Disney Parks news to movie announcements. Anything big that Disney's doing behind, they are announcing at D23. And then they also have the Disney Legends induction ceremony, if you will. The first 2 days of it are what I look the most forward to, because that is my future. That is what I live for. This is partially my Super Bowl. And in the past years, they've done a lot of blue sky initiatives. What's a blue sky initiative? That is...
Are you doing the conference right now?
I could do the conference. I did. I won't lie to our friends, our viewers. I did watch some of it live streamed.
No.
Yes, I needed to know what was happening in real time, and I wanted to know. But instead of giving out any blue sky initiatives, so that's like things that might happen, they want to test the audience, customers, see how people feel about it. Nothing that was announced was blue sky. Everything that they announced is happening, is in the works, or about to be in the works. The Villains Park idea, that's something that's been thrown around as a blue sky idea for a while and is now coming into fruition. It's going to be a part of the largest expansion to Magic Kingdom, the Beyond Thunder Mountain expansion. And it's going to have 2 main attractions: shopping, dining. I'm hoping that they bring in a bar. Magic Kingdom's getting their first bar tavern with a Pirates of the Caribbean one, so that's going to be really cool. And the Monsters Inkland is going to be so iconic. It's coming to Hollywood Studios. No end date, but
I'm excited for that. Also, I was excited because when I saw the ride, it's like a suspended roller coaster.
yeah.
And I got so nostalgic because my first ever real like big girl roller coaster was at Cedar Point. Obviously, it's not
Oh my gosh.
that far from us, but it was always the Raptor that I wanted to go on first. And that was what I ended up doing. And it's a suspended roller coaster.
I forgot
So that
about
was like
that.
my first big encounter with roller coasters, and I obviously loved it. And that just reminded me of that. And I'm like, I feel like I need to go on this and just
You really do. We will
the
plan a
nostalgia
trip.
of Monsters Inc.
We'll go to Disney. I'll show you all the things. It'll be a phenomenal time.
But I also did see that you were talking about, you mentioned earlier, the Disney Legends thing.
Yes.
I never knew that was a thing, and I also didn't know it was at that conference.
Yep.
So they inducted Miley into the Disney Legends
as the youngest Disney
Hall of
legend.
Fame, which is wild, but it's also just like, I was just like, wow, she was talking about Hannah Montana and talking about being a part of that, and it was so cool.
Yeah, it's just a testament to her pure talent, but it was also really exciting to see her reflect so fondly of her time with Hannah Montana, because you don't always see that with child actors, them be able to like look back, reflect, and have really fond, positive memories of their time doing that. And I know she separated from Disney for a little while, really wanted to make a name from herself outside of Hannah Montana, outside of Disney. But for her to be able to be on stage talking about like her first few times having the Hannah wig on, being at the mall, singing This Is the Life, and really trying to embody Hannah Montana as like a 13-year-old girl. Like, I feel like I didn't realize
How young she
how
was.
she young. Yeah. I always felt like Hannah Montana was like an adult compared to us. Like, I didn't realize how close in age we were to Miley growing up. She seemed so mature.
Yeah. I feel like that about a lot of the shows that were on Disney, like especially for us, like Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, or like Wizards of Waverly Place.
Selena
like,
Gomez was, I thought, like a full-on adult.
And also, like, think about like Ashley Tisdale or Brenda Song, like in Sweet Life.
So mature.
They seem so much more like older than us at the time, and like looking back, they're not that much older than us. But it's just wild to see all that. And I actually just recently saw a little like sneak peek commercial of the reboot for Wizards of Waverly Place, which I'm so excited for because I feel like that Hannah Montana and Sweet Life were like our three main shows of our generation.
Those were the big ones.
And any reboot that any of them did, like I feel like I would actually watch.
Oh, 100%. I've never watched the reboots that they've done so far. So like the Girl Meets World, the Raven's Home, because I feel like those were a little bit before our time, before we were big into Disney Channel. But Wizards reboot I will watch, and I hope that they do a Hannah or Sweet Life one in the future, because I'd be tuned in.
I agree. Well, speaking of being tuned in and wanting to watch things, people were not feeling that way at Ice Spice's concert, because she started her show with 2 hours of ads playing on repeat. And supposedly these were not just, you know, sometimes they'll have a little banner that flashes that's an ad or something. No, these were like full blown TV ad commercials playing on loop for 2 hours. And, you know, usually when you're sitting at a concert, you will have like a DJ or an opener performer or some kind of music playing to like get the vibes going, get the crowd going. And I personally cannot imagine like sitting there just watching commercials on repeat.
I don't want to watch commercials in my day-to-day life. I go out of my way to avoid them. And just having them before you're going to see this artist that you're so excited to see, it just doesn't set the tone. Yeah,
it's just like too much. And I feel like I would just be scrolling on my phone and like
100%.
The vibes would not be as good when when the artist comes out.
No, I mean, typically artists like to do a playlist with some bops that's what Taylor Swift does. She has a very curated playlist. She plays some tunes. She occasionally shows, behind the scenes clips or some music videos, but it prepares you to see the greatness that is a Taylor Swift concert.
Rightfully so. But we have a lot of concert talking to do in our Patreon bonus content. We'll be talking all about Lollapalooza. So if you want to hear more about our experience at some concerts this past 2 weeks ago now, I don't know.
Yeah, something
feels
like that. Time's wild.
Yeah, I know. Time's flying. But we are talking all about that there. But for now, let's get into some Shady Stories, starting with Shady Story number 1. One day, probably early June, this guy, we'll call him Ryan, left a note in my mailbox saying that he would like to get to know me this summer and left his phone number. He goes to my school, which I knew, but I did not have any classes or interactions with him. I don't even think he knew my name at this point. He lives in my neighborhood and saw what street I lived on just from driving home from school, as his parking spot was near mine. I had seen him going on walks around my neighborhood and later realized that he must have been searching for which house on my street my car was parked at before he left the note. Anyways, I was not interested in getting to know someone so randomly, and he didn't seem like my type, and I'm generally pretty busy in the summer anyways, so it would have been an awkward thing to make time for, so I just didn't do anything about it. Towards the end of June, we had our senior pictures being done at the school, and we just so happened to have ours at the same day at the same time. When I saw him, I just thought I'd avoid eye contact, and it went fine while I was in the school. But then I left, and he followed me out of the school while we walked towards our cars and made small talk. I said that I was working a lot and mentioned that I work at Domino's, which is only a few minutes away from our neighborhood. I didn't think it was weird at the time to tell him, by the way. After that, he asked for my phone number, and I was kind of unsure of what to say, so I just said sure and gave it to him. I felt at the time that it would have been rude to say no, but I realize now that I should have. Also, I was thinking, does he think that I didn't get his note, or that maybe if he tried again, I would change my mind? Who knows? Once I got to my car, I saw him walking to his, and then because he was waiting on his sister, who was also getting pictures done, he walked right back into the school. I thought it was funny and not smooth at all because it was so obvious that his only intention was to get my number. He texted me a bit after, and he seemed nice, but I really just was not interested in him, so I would respond dry so that he would hopefully get the hint. He had also asked if I wanted to hang out a few times. I just said no, I have to work, which was the truth, even though it was also because I didn't want to. I felt a little bad for him, but I wasn't too worried about it. At this point, I didn't think about him much until one day in mid-July, I was on my way to work and saw I was behind his car in the turn lane. I figured he was just there to pick up a pizza, and I thought it might be an awkward interaction, but oh well. But I was wrong. After I walked into the store, I saw that he was in the office talking to a manager. He got a job at Domino's to be around me. It was his first day working there, and I was shocked. I just avoided him and started interacting with my other coworkers who are all really cool. After he left that day, we hadn't really had any interactions. I texted him that I was not interested in having any kind of relationship and that I was sorry if I was unclear before. He never responded to my message, but he has still been showing up to work and I've just been avoiding him. I've told all of my coworkers about him so that they know why I don't want to interact with him much. I felt sort of bad for making everyone get a bad first impression of him, but it was so weird for me to have him show up at my job. Like, did he think we would just become friends and I wouldn't be weirded out at all? As of right now, we both still work there and avoid interactions, but he doesn't seem creepy or anything, and people seem to like him fine. It was just a very odd thing for me. That's all that's happened so far, but I'll write back if anything else happens. Am I overreacting?
I mean, Ryan's kind of wild.
I almost feel, though, like part of me, which maybe this is toxic, but I kind of want to be like, if he wanted to, he would. And he wanted to. Like,
I know, like you said, oh, I can't hang out. I've been working a lot. And he went out of his way to get a
no
job.
Problem.
Yes, he said, no problem. I'll work too. I will spend time working with you and then we can hang out. So cute, creepy. I mean, it depends how you look at it. As long as he's being respectful and mindful, very demure, then no problem. If he, oversteps, then maybe we want to. I'm glad you told your coworkers. Maybe we tell a responsible adult as well. Just to be sure, we want to make sure that you are safe first and foremost. But hey, this man, he could be your husband. He could be your future ex-boyfriend. We don't know.
And if you write back, I feel like that's what we want to hear. Like, maybe it does work out.
Right.
It's kind of giving me like in the old days vibes, like in a movie, you would see like, this is how they would go about it back then.
For sure. If we were thinking about The Notebook, like this is how Noah would have gone after Allie.
In 2024.
100%. That man jumped on what is it? It's not a Ferris wheel. It's a Ferris wheel. He jumped on a moving Ferris wheel as she was like on a date with another guy.
And again, arguably could be creepy.
Creepy,
but look how
crazy.
That
turned out well. So really,
we're really teetering in the middle here. It could go either way. So we do need the update, in fact, to understand which side it's leaning towards.
Right.
But as of right now, I think you're fine in the middle here.
Good place to be. The middle's a good spot to be.
And hopefully it just goes that way where you guys end up together and in a Notebook movie situation.
Yes, I really wish that for you. I also am curious, how's Domino's these days?
Oh, true. We've definitely been on a journey of trying out new pizzas lately. If you're from Michigan, I feel like Jets and Little Caesars is always like the go-to.
100%.
But recently we've dabbled with some Papa John's. and Hungry Howie's.
We've expanded our horizons.
And in particular, anything with garlic sauce.
We're about that life.
And so just let us know. But don't feel any pressure. Like, feel free to write that back when you tell us what's going on.
Take your time. Like, let's see where are we going into senior year? What year are we going into right now?
Yes.
Senior year? A lot will happen in senior year. So maybe we wait like post, first couple football games, post homecoming, and maybe around Halloween, we do a follow-up on where y'all are at. Are you both still working at Domino's? Are you being scheduled during the same times? Have we gone on a date yet? Who's to say what could happen in that amount of time?
Lots of things we need updates.
And that will bring us to Shady Story number 2. When I was probably around 9-10 years old and I didn't get along with my stepmom very well, she would make me very upset because she always got her way and thought she was right all the time. I don't remember what she did at the time, but I was pissed. A little after the argument, I went to the washroom to wash my face before bed and decided it was time that I took matters into my own hands, and I took her mascara wand and dipped it into the toilet bowl and put it back in the tube. There wasn't anything in the toilet, and I don't think she used it anymore because it was so dry and empty, but I still feel bad about it, but she low-key deserved it. Bro.
It's yeah. It's one of those, but
not judging, but
points for creativity, I will say, because typically, like when you hear someone's dunking something in the toilet because they're angry, it's a toothbrush. 10 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times now, it's a toothbrush. But you've expanded, again, horizons. You've given potentially somebody an idea.
A gift. And that's what we're about here. Sharing is caring. And I mean,
but in this case, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. In a would you rather?
Mm-hmm.
Toothbrush in the toilet versus mascara. I'm choosing toothbrush all day.
Shut up.
No, because you have to think about it. Like the mascara, once that goes back into
all of the bacteria
tube, like it's over. You're getting pink eye every time you use it.
I mean,
and you don't know where it's coming from.
I don't even know about just pink eye. I think your eyelashes are frying off at that point.
Potentially. You just don't
combusting.
Know. You just don't know.
You just don't know. And I don't believe that your stepmom used this mascara because we would know. This story would have 3 more paragraphs. There would be a follow-up and potentially an ER visit.
100%.
We don't know.
So she didn't use it because we would have more information.
Absolutely.
The story would be longer.
It would be much longer.
A toothbrush, like at least you're rinsing it off every time. You're putting like
the toothpaste,
bacteria killing something on it.
Shut up.
No, it's disgusting, but like I feel like you would also notice right away, and like you would get like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's more notice.
With a toothbrush, you would notice.
Like if it tasted bad, I feel like if it tasted bad, you would be like, ew, what's on this? And you throw it out. You know what I mean? Like a mascara, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna taste it. You're not gonna like. It's just gonna be like mascara, and you're not gonna know. So in that one, like I don't know, pink eye. Oh. That would just be miserable. So yeah, in a hypothetical,
you're taking the toothbrush.
For sure.
Good for you. Good for you.
I mean, there's no other option.
I would choose neither.
Well, no, it's a would.
And that's how I am
don't like
choosing
when people
to play.
Do that and would you rather, because the whole point is you're not supposed to be able to choose, and you never want to be in either situation. But like, yeah, that's
just the way I'm going to play for today.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Shady story number 3. Okay, so this is actually something I'm extremely ashamed about, but also feel like I need to share or else I will combust. For the past year, I've been keeping a massive secret, and it's completely tearing me apart. I'm in love with my older sister's boyfriend, now ex. It all started innocently enough. In order to keep this anonymous, let's call my sister Emma and her boyfriend Jake. My sister Emma has been dating Jake for about 3 years now. She's 25, Jake's 26, and I'm 21. He's everything you'd want in a guy. Charming, funny, very attractive, and just the right amount of mysterious. I remember when she first introduced him to our family. My first thought was, wow, Emma found the most perfect person. But over time, I started noticing little things, like how he always remembered the smallest details about me, or how we would lock eyes and share intense, fleeting moments. At first, I brushed it off as me just being delusional. I mean, he's my sister's boyfriend. but I thought his demeanor towards me was just in my head and that our conversations were just normal. But then it got worse. I live in a house with Emma and my older sister, and Jake would often come over and spend the night. I've always had a really difficult time staying asleep, and one night around a year ago, I went to the kitchen to get some water and found him sitting there as well. We ended up talking and then ended up talking more for basically the entire night on the couch. He confided in me that he and my sister had gotten into a disagreement and he feels disrespected in their relationship. Then throughout the night, we talked about our interests and childhoods. I found out how much we have in common to music, books, TV shows, values, humor. I've never connected like that to another person before. After that night, I knew I liked him more than I should. For context, me and my sister have never been very close. We are very different people, but I still love her tremendously. Following that night, he started texting me little things, nothing major, just memes, random jokes, and stuff like that. But then the texts became more frequent and our conversations grew deeper, and I couldn't help but fall deeper. One night around 3 weeks ago, when Emma was at work, Jake came over to hang out. I did not invite him. He came over randomly and asked if he could talk to me. We ended up watching a movie together, and I could feel the tension building between us. He ended up confessing to me that he can't help his feelings towards me. Long story short, we ended up making out on the couch and then sleeping together. It was my first time ever. He didn't know that I was a virgin. Afterwards, I felt so guilty and disgusted with myself, but I also felt so happy. I don't understand why I feel this way towards him. I hate myself because of it, but I truly feel such a strong connection between us. He kept kissing me after we finished and said he has to break up with my sister. He told me he was in love with me. I panicked and told him that he needed to leave and he can't break up with Emma. I felt so guilty. He ended things with her the next day, but didn't explain to her exactly why. My sister was crushed and still has been having a really difficult time lately. I've tried to avoid her because I feel so guilty watching her cry, knowing how I slept with and fell in love with her boyfriend. Since that night, I've been an emotional wreck. I can't stop thinking about him, and the guilt is eating me alive. He has texted me nonstop and even stopped by our house when my sister was at work. I told him we couldn't be together, and he just said that he knows we're meant to be together and that he's in love with me. I love my sister, and I know this is so wrong, but I can't shake these feelings. I don't know what to do. All I know is I'm in way too deep, and there's no easy way out of this mess.
So what I'm hearing is we now have the source material to turn into a best-selling novel.
If this isn't already from a novel. Like, this seems like...
Oh, it is.
Like a story that would be in a book, and if it's not, needs to be.
And then turned into a trilogy, turned Netflix series, and we financially gain from the situation.
Because here's my thing. Truly, and we talked through this before we shared this story because we wanted to be mindful and considerate, and we thought...
Give the best advice possible.
We need to give some advice in this scenario because if not, what else are we doing here? We need to add to this because it almost did feel like there was no winning in this.
But we found a winning situation
and we
for
found
you.
a way. And so we think that you take this, and it's great writing already.
You are already like 2 pages into your novel.
Add some details.
Yes.
Fluff it up a little.
Right. I'm saying add dramatics where possible. Like, crank the shit up. You know, maybe your sister wasn't at work. Maybe she was in the other room. Maybe she was sleeping in the same room. Maybe, just maybe, you date this boy. Maybe you marry this boy and your sister is the maid of honor at your wedding.
I knew you were going there.
Because we've seen it happen.
In real life.
It is a recipe for success. And allegedly, true love. Allegedly. We don't know.
And so it could work out. It could work out in real life.
Right.
But that's a rare case scenario. So if that doesn't happen, we're saying gain from this financially.
Right. In whatever way, shape, or possible. And you know what? You can write the ending that you want.
In the
book.
Know,
yeah,
not
in the book.
And
this is not a metaphor. Like, this is like you are physically
literally
going to write. Yes, you're going to take your feelings. You're going to put it pen to paper. And, you know, even if you and your sister never speak again in the book, who's to say what happens?
Your best friend.
You could be best friends, live happily ever after, you know, buy some land, create a family compound, ride around in golf carts. Sky's the limits here. Think about the possibilities. Think of the ways it could go. You know, in the book, one of you could become a breakdancing Olympian.
Which is attainable.
The limit.
Well, and attainable.
Yes.
that actually you could just turn your life around today, become a breakdancing Olympian, and you don't have to write the book.
Right. And then with all the breakdancing, I feel like people would be distracted from the fact that you may or may not have slept with your sister's boyfriend. It's all alleged right now, all hearsay. I would say my one piece of advice is if this, comes to a head pre you writing this book, deny, deny, deny.
Oh, wow. That's the advice we're giving. I will say, I like that, we're starting off the season. Instead of rating these stories, we almost give advice at the end of these stories.
Right.
And I don't know if that's who we are. I mean, I know in real life,
you give advice. You give good, strong, solid advice to people in real life. I would go to you for advice. Would you go to me for advice?
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
No, you
Depends.
would. You've
Yeah.
asked me questions before,
Yeah.
and I've given you good advice.
Well, based on the advice we're hearing today, I don't know if everyone would agree listening to this that we
No.
give good advice, but either way, that's the route we took with these stories
No.
specifically, and maybe we can do it if you write yours in. So
I've been told I give some of the best advice, actually. I have somebody that went through quite a strong breakup, and she said that I said some of the best things that she's heard going through this breakup.
wow.
Yeah, I'm not going to share the details because I don't know if the details are to be aired out, but I'll tell you after.
Well,
and
maybe she'll write them in.
maybe.
And with that being said, continue to write in your shady stories. We're so excited to be back for season 3. And like we said, make sure you look out for the new merch drop Monday at 12 p.m. ET, or if you're part of the Patreon, sooner than that. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.